Oh, my timing was good that time. You see that? Music ended right when it said the live stream starts now. Well, every once in a while I get it right. So, pretty cool. Hey, everyone, welcome. Yeah, we've got folks with us. Fantastic to have you aboard. We have Nash and we have Sergey just joined us. Phenomenal. Great to see you guys. I've been looking forward to this one. As you know, I screwed up last week. I lost track of time. Hey, Panay, great to see you. I lost track of time and so forth, but I was actually able to take the live stream I was going to do last week and work it into this week because it's all on a similar topic. So we're going to do all right. We're going to do all right, which means let's talk about what we're going to talk about. All right? You know, the majority of you who are joining this live stream, either live or watching it after the fact, the majority of you are working on your college degree. And you've got to be thinking, is this going to matter? I mean, hey, Leslie, I know I'm a college professor, so I'm required by moral mandate to say, oh, you're in the right place and you're doing the right thing and you need a college degree. And I'm not a college professor right now. We're live streaming. And you've got to be thinking this. You've got to be thinking, am I doing the right thing? And is this going to pay off? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it in kind of a roundabout way. Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. But maybe not for the reasons that you think. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to come on over here. We're going to start out today we're going to quote a couple of people quite a bit. We're going to quote Karl Marx and Adam Smith. Now, if you know anything about even Economics 101, you know that Karl Marx is kind of the godfather of communism and so forth. And so here in the United States, anyway, we're required by federal law to despise Karl Marx. Not necessarily a good idea. And we have Adam Smith, who is the patron saint of capitalism. Well, the thing I want to talk about today is the ways in which Karl Marx and Adam Smith actually agree, first of all, and then where they disagree. Now, you would be surprised to know that in many ways, when it comes to understanding the problems of capitalism, what you and I live in right now, and we're going to be talking about what you and I are doing right now in capitalism. This isn't theory. This is the real world now. You'd be surprised to know that they agree on a lot of the problems of capitalism. They really agree on the problems. What they disagree on is the solution. So, with that, let's first look at the problems that these two guys identify. All right? Now, to do that, what I first want to do is I want to offer a definition. We need to understand a word before we can get on with our discussion here. We need to understand the word commodity. What is a commodity? Well, it's a basic good that is interchangeable with other goods of the same type, typically used as inputs in the production of other goods or services. So, for example, right now I am producing a live stream. Hey, hi there. I'm producing a live stream, and I have a camera lens on my camera that helps me produce this live stream. That lens right there is an input to the production of a live stream. And sure, lenses are unique to the camera, but you know what? There's a whole bunch of lenses out there that can be used on the camera. Some are better, some are worse. You can get I'm running on a Sony right now, so I can run a Sony lens or I can run a Sigma lens. Sigma lenses are less expensive. It's a commodity. You can switch them all out. I have lots and lots of lenses up there. It's a commodity, all right? When you make breakfast, eggs are a commodity. You can get eggs from there. You can get eggs from somewhere else. It doesn't matter. It's just an input into the production of your breakfast. Okay, that's a commodity. But now check this out. In many ways, you are a commodity. And by the way, I mean me too. We. All right? We're commodities. Now think about it. You're a person that is interchangeable with other people of the same type, typically used as an input in the production of a good or a service. So if you work retail, I'm just making that crap up, right? I don't know where you work. If you want to tell me in the chat what you do, we can use that as an example. If you work retail, you're an input into the sales process. Ultimately, you're providing a service that is gearing up toward increasing sales. You are an input to the sales process. And you are interchangeable. As soon as you leave, they'll just hire somebody else. You're not special. You're not unique. Don't worry. We're going to end on a positive, people. We're going to end on a positive. So don't go running saying that Lon's being all mean. All right? Just trying to set things up. You're not special. You're not unique. You're interchangeable. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm interchangeable. Do you know how easy it would be to replace me? I could step in front of a bus tomorrow. Not gonna, but I could evaporate tomorrow, and they just throw another adjunct an adjunct into my class and finish out the semester, and then another professor will cover me next semester. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I am a commodity in the production of an education service. Okay? All right, so we're commodities. Now, I want to explain another concept here. All right, we've got commodity. That's our first little definition thing we need to have set up for the conversation we're about to have. Now, the next definition I want to set up for the conversation we're about to have is economies of scale. Let me explain economies of scale. The idea is that the more you use, let's say you just pay for something outright. You pay for something outright. The more you use it and the more value you get from it, basically the more valuable it becomes. It's the more you scale up the use, the more value you get. Let me start with the example of this hoodie right here. Hey, Hugh, great to see ya. This hoodie, the dude right there, that's me. He's wearing this hoodie. Okay. I bought this hoodie about 800 years ago, and I paid $80 for it. Now, at the time, folks, $80 was a lot of money for me to spend on a hoodie, and I even felt a little sheepish buying it, but I really liked it. And so I purchased it, and I'd say for 15 years, I wore it more or less every day. More or less every day, I wore this hoodie. So now, if you take $80 and divide it by 15 years times 365, you would be able to figure out how much it cost me to wear it each day that I wore it. And it would be a third of a penny or something, right? So the more I wear this, the more value I got out of it, to the point of which $80 is nothing. On the other hand, you see that trailer there? You see that trailer? We bought that trailer used for $2,500. $2,500. And we used it 5 times. And then I gave it away. I was so sick and tired of it. I won't tell you the whole story of the trailer. But the point is, as you see, I gave it away. I said free. It says right there at the bottom. You can't read it, but I'll read it to you. Free. If you can haul it, you can have it. And I gave it away. All right. I paid $2,500 for it, and I used it 5 times. That means each night I was in there, I slept in it, cost me $500. $500 a night. That is not good economies of scale. So, economies of scale, it means it occurs when the cost per unit decreases as production, the outputs, increase while the inputs remain relatively constant. I paid $80 for the hoodie. I never had to pay any more. Therefore, the inputs were constant, but the output, the value I got from it, continued to increase every single time I used it. Okay? So put it another way, the more you produce in the same amount of time and at the same pay, the more profit the company makes from your labor. So here's the kicker, guys. The more, let's say moi. Maintenant, je parle de moi maintenant. I'm talking about me. Salt Lake Community College, by the way, I am fairly compensated. Don't care about I'm fairly compensated. I'm good. But let's use it as an example nonetheless. I am paid a salary at Salt Lake Community College, and they derive a certain amount of value from my input. But now the amount they pay is constant. It's always the same. And if I produce just a little bit of value for the college, then the economies of scale for me are not very good. They don't get a whole lot of value from me, but the inputs are the same. But now if I just crush it and I provide tons and tons of value and I make lots of videos and I serve on lots of committees and I get lots of students engaged and I provide the more and more value I provide, the more value the college gets. But my inputs remain the same, which means the harder I work, the more the college benefits, but I do not benefit anymore. This, and again, just an example, guys, I'm happy, all right? But this is what Karl Marx is talking about. For labor not only produces commodities, but it makes a commodity of the work itself as well as of the worker. The worker, you. Okay, by the way, Nash says, so would that mean that in a job place, the longer they keep an employee, the more money the company makes versus the higher turnover rate? Actually, yes, Nash. Okay, let's talk about that for just a quick second, right? Hiring and training an employee is very, very, very expensive. And so if a company has to constantly hire and train replacement employees, the economies of scale are awful. They're losing money. A company does not make money off of an employee until like 9 months into depending on the industry, into their employment. On the other hand, employees who have been there a long time and are producing a lot of value, their economies of scale for the company are really high, which means the company is making a lot of money off of that employee, presuming a good employee, and they want to keep them. This is one of the many reasons that HR organizations are really concerned about employee retention. They want to retain, train, and give organizational knowledge and learning to the employee so they can produce more value, but their inputs their wages are relatively flat. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about it. So Nash, you're seeing what I'm saying. Seeing what I'm saying? Hey, you get what I'm saying. Okay. So check out what Marx says here. The worker becomes all the poorer the more wealth he produces, the more his production increases in power and volume. The worker becomes an ever cheaper commodity the more commodities he creates. As the world of things increases in value, the human world becomes devalued. Okay? So weirdly, what Marx is saying is the more valuable I become as a professor, the more I cheapen myself because I'm not gaining the value of my additional work. But the employer is. Now, in the case of Salt Lake Community College, a state institution, they're not making money and so on. But you think about Amazon. Okay, there's a reason why there are billionaires and billionaires and billionaires there. It's because they have gained the value of the commodity worker, where the commodity worker is still trying to make ends meet. Okay, so check this out. This is very recent. This is from CNBC. This is showing since 1950 to today how much productivity has increased, and yet also how much wages have increased. And as you'll see, over the last, 70 years, productivity has increased 80%, almost 81%. So if we are producing so much more, then we ought to be getting paid more, right? We're not. The average hourly compensation is at 30%. So now hold on. If I am producing 80% more than I used to, but getting paid 30% more, where's that other 50% going? It's going to the corporations, to the bosses, to the CEOs, because they are gaining the benefit of economies of scale. Okay? I'm not impressed with the relationship, says Christina. Yeah, we're just talking about what the observations are. Don't worry. Like I say, we're ending with this live stream with a positive. Okay, so here's the thing. Human work, furthermore, it's not enough that we've turned ourselves into commodities and that other people are gaining the value of our work through economies of scale. Now we're replacing human beings. Actually, to be fair, we've been replacing human beings since the dawn of mankind, right? We're always looking to create tools that make our work easier, faster, cheaper, higher quality, things like that. Myself included, all of us. So that's part of the human condition. We make tools, all right? But a lot of these tools now don't just make our lives easier, they replace us. You see, someone like Mahatma Gandhi, he wrote an essay called Man and Machine. He says, listen, any tool, any machine that makes your job happier and cooler and better is a good machine. However, any machine that replaces a human being, that is an immoral machine. He couldn't abide that, all right? So, as Marx says, as the value of things increase in value, as the world of things increase in value, the human world becomes devalued. Companies would much rather have all that automation in their factories than they would like to have human beings in the factories, okay? So, here's the thing, though. Now we're going to start getting to some positives. It's not going to feel like it at first, but it's going to happen, all right? Automation can dehumanize the worker, but it can also liberate the worker. Automation can liberate the worker. And now, just as I showed evidence of some of the problems, I want to show some evidence of the pros, okay? So let's first consider what is it? A factory line, right? We've got people who are working on a factory line, putting these components together. Now, Adam Smith called out a problem here. Adam Smith called out a problem, and this problem is really similar to what Karl Marx said. The man whose whole life is spent in performing a few simple operations, like what we just saw in that video, of which the effects too are perhaps always the same or very nearly the same, has no occasion to exert his understanding, to exercise his invention, to find out expedients for removing difficulties which never occur. In other words, when you're just working a factory line like that, your brain turns to mush. All right? That's his concern. His concern is you don't really get to fulfill your species essence, as Karl Marx would say, if you're just working on a factory line doing the same repetitive task over and over and over. He says he naturally loses, therefore, the habit of such exertion, thinking, being, creating, innovating, and generally becomes as stupid and ignorant as is possible for a human creature to become. Holy hell, Adam Smith. Dude, okay? And he goes on, the torpor of his mind renders him not only incapable of relishing or bearing a part of any rational conversation, but of conceiving any generous, noble, or tender sentiment, and consequently of forming any just judgment concerning many even of the ordinary duties of private life. Dude, tell me what you really feel, right? Okay, but now, this is where Adam Smith and Karl Marx separate in terms of the solution. Karl Marx said that the solution is to take control of the means of production, seize the means of production, that all the factories, all the means of production, and so on and so forth, should be owned and controlled by the state, okay? Spoiler alert, it doesn't work. If you want to see how that works, go check out, North Korea and Stalin's Russia and, all that sort of stuff, right? Okay. Karl Marx's solution, though, was let economics do its thing. Let the human mind find opportunities and so forth. And so, as a result, check this out. So, we've been, I pushed the button I didn't mean to push. Sorry. We've been automating stuff forever and ever and ever and ever. We have been automating jobs away for the last 50, 60, 70 years, more than, since human beings. But the point is, we've been automating a ton of stuff and replacing jobs. And yet we're still at more or less full employment. Now, how is it that we are at full employment when we've automated away millions and millions of jobs? Because we're really good at making new crap up. And this is what Adam Smith says is the answer. So this was an article recently published August of this year, I apologize, August of this year, basically from, I think it was MIT. Oh, I don't know. I think the researchers are out of MIT. I really do. But it basically says 60% of the jobs that are out there today didn't exist in 1940. So we've automated away a ton of jobs, and yet we're still at full employment. That's because we make up new jobs. We are really, really good at this. All right. So one of the things that we often say in academia, and this is real, I want you to embrace this. Take a moment. Get ready to receive a truth. Okay? You are today training for jobs that don't yet exist. All right? So if you have in your mind the job that you are in college for, and I am going to do this job, that job won't be there when you graduate from college. You are training for this other job that's out there that does not yet exist. Now, not only is this true from the data, because a lot of these people train for jobs that no longer exist and yet they're fully employed, I do jobs, or at least the way I do the job. When I was in college, when I was your age and in college, we were using typewriters. And then we got some Macs one day. When Mac first came out, I was there for the first Mac, and it was like, wow, right? There was no internet. There was no this, that, and the other, everything, right? And now I'm freaking live streaming. This job not only didn't exist, it wasn't even conceived of, okay? So I want you to think about this as we then ask the question, what about AI? Because everybody is saying that AI is going to replace everything. By the way, AI may in fact replace everything. But remember, we're really good at making up new jobs. So even though we've been automating work since the beginning, we've still got plenty of work, and AI is going to automate even more work, and yet we can still have plenty of work. But what kind of work is it? I want to posit an answer to that. And to do that, I want to take you real quick through Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is a way of thinking about human intelligence and human learning and human application of intelligence. What do we do with the smart stuff we have up here, and how do we apply it? I want to look at it in comparison with AI, all right? So the very first level of Bloom's taxonomy is the ability to remember something, right? Recognize or recall things that you have learned, such as vocabulary terms, principles, concepts, and so forth. AI can remember just as well. No. AI can remember better than you. AI is smarter than you in just about every facet. We'll come back to that in just a moment, okay? Next level is understanding, your ability to understand an idea. So, for example, earlier in this live stream, I defined commodity, and you remember commodity, and then I defined economies of scale, and you remember economies of scale, and then I gave some examples of commodities and economies of scale, and so you understand these ideas. You have the ability to understand. Great. AI understands. AI understands. We're not smarter than AI when it comes to understanding. Then we've got application. The ability to take this learning that we've acquired and actually apply it to a problem, a real world problem, right? So this is the classic, you're sitting in class and going, when am I ever going to use this? All right? If you don't know, when am I ever going to use this, then you don't know how to apply the information. But eventually you figure out, oh, this is where I can use this, so now you know how to apply. AI knows how to apply the information. It totally knows how to apply the information better than we do. Okay, then what's next? Analyzing. Analyzing is when you can take something and break it down into its constituent parts, evaluate all these parts, and really understand it at a micro as well as a macro level, and kind of figure out what holds water and what doesn't, and so on and so forth. And I've been kind of analyzing capitalism and the problems, the pros and cons of capitalism as we've been going on. That's analyzing. AI can totally analyze. It analyzes really, really, really well. Okay. Evaluating. This is the ability to look at an argument or to look at a supposition or to look at a product and its use and so on and so forth and evaluate it based on whatever criteria we happen to choose for this particular evaluation. We can do that. AI can do that. Okay, but now here's the last one, guys. This is the one that AI cannot do, and nor will it be able to for quite some time, is my posit. Synthesizing. AI cannot synthesize. It can do all that other stuff, some things really, really, really well, but synthesizing, it can't do. So now, where can we use synthesis? And this is what we're going to end on. We use synthesis in solving wicked problems. This is why you will have a job in the future. If you've wondered, is my college degree going to mean anything? Will AI take all my jobs? What is going to happen to me? Let me tell you right now, the way that you will not only survive but thrive and kick ass and take names in the future is because you will know how to solve wicked problems. And so, truth is, in your career, you want to seek out jobs that require you to solve wicked problems. So let's look at what a wicked problem is, okay? First, in a wicked problem, there is no single agreed upon understanding of the problem, which means that no prepackaged solution is available in some book or any other solutions that you may have used somewhere else. You can't transfer them over to this problem. If you get 5 people to look at the problem, you'll get 6 answers in terms of what is the problem. You take something like healthcare, right? What's the problem? Oh my gosh, how much time do you have? If you put a whole bunch of policymakers and doctors and patients and lawmakers and legislators into a room together and just simply ask, what is the problem behind our healthcare crisis? They would not even be able to agree on the problem, let alone the solution. Okay? So that's the first aspect of a wicked problem. I, as a professor, have to deal with the wicked problem when it comes to education. What is a valuable education? What's a valuable college education? Once again, you can put a bunch of professors and students and legislators and accreditation representatives and parents into a room, and you would not be able to get an agreement on what is a valuable college education. So right away, I am working in that wicked problem sphere, which is why I still have a job. Okay, next one. These problems are always changing. So even if you kind of sort of get close to a solution one day, the problem is different the next day. So I'll give you an example. I work in education. AI. AI is changing so fast that before an institution can even come up with a policy statement, the AI that they're trying to create a statement around has already changed. It's already different. I find the idea of publishing a book on AI for professors laughable. Laughable. Because, and they're out there, by the way. It takes 6 months to a year to write a book and get it published. So let's say we expedite this thing. Let's say 3 months to 6 months to get it published. And then you get it on out there and you start putting together reading groups. By the time people are reading this book, it's been 9 months to a year. My friends, I have published videos about how to use AI that 3 months after publishing the video, it's out of date. So I continue to have a job because the nature of the problem of AI and education continues to shift and change. This is a wicked problem. Next one, problem is also intertwined with other problems, making it hard to isolate and address one aspect of the problem without going into another aspect. So in terms of, say, healthcare, well, now this involves insurance companies and how they work, and then how malpractice insurance works, and then how the legal system treats, medical issues. And then we've talked about research, and then we're talking about providing healthcare and doctors and nurses. There's so many tiny little sub-problems that it's kind of hard to figure out where one ends and the other begins, okay? Next, with wicked problem, it's never solved. A wicked problem is never done. You can't say, voilà, je suis fini, c'est tout, I have solved the problem. No, a wicked problem is always there. It's really more a matter of managing and mitigating the problem than it is solving it. So there will never be a solution to AI in the classroom. There will never be a case where everybody can go, all right, high five, we solved the problem. No, it is a perennial problem. It is always there. So yeah, that's a wicked problem. Wicked problems also involve tons and tons of stakeholders, each with their own agenda and their own idea of what success looks like. So the idea that they can agree on a quote-unquote solution is laughable. So in the case of education, faculty are stakeholders, administration, students, parents, legislators, accreditation bodies, other universities and college, the state. We have so many stakeholders. And so when one stakeholder says, I want you to do this, another stakeholder says, that flies in the face of what I want to have happen. And this never goes away. This is a wicked problem. I think this is the last one. Yes, the last one on a wicked problem is you won't really know whether or not it worked for years to come. You can't put the solution in place and then see right away if it worked, like fixing a tire or something like that, or fixing your computer. You're not going to know for years whether or not this had the desired impact. So that's the wicked problem. So, guys, in closing, your ability to thrive and embody your species' essence will depend on your ability to anticipate and train for unique, high-value roles that don't yet exist, especially roles that involve wicked problems that require synthesis. AI can't do this, and it's not on the map that it will be able to do this in the near future in any way, shape, or form. The way you will beat AI is by using your education, experience, insights, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking skills, as well as AI, to understand and solve wicked problems. All right? So there we are. We went to 40 minutes today because I wanted to get in some really good stuff in there. Guys, I really hope that you found something in here thought-provoking and helpful, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm talking about your future here. Me, I'm fine. I'm going to be dead in 10 years. It doesn't matter. Well, not 10. I don't know. Who knows, right? Point is, I'm going to be fine because I'm toward the end of my career. You guys are just at the beginning of your career. This matters to you more than it does to my longevity. So I hope you got something out of it. As always, I want to do a call out to my supporters over in my YouTube supporters and Patreons and so forth. You know, I do this for quote unquote free, but it's great when somebody says, hey, I appreciate it. Have $1. So thank you very much. And everyone, thank you for joining. Fantastic today. As always, send me an email. If you're one of my students, let me know you were here. If you're not one of my students and want to talk about this, let me know. I love talking about this stuff. And we'll see you again soon. I'll stick around if you have any questions or comments to throw out here. Otherwise, we're all set, and we'll see you next week. Have a great Halloween, because I think Halloween is the day before we meet next. And so have fun there. We'll see you later. Hey, thanks, Sergey. I appreciate it. My head bopping all around, looking at all these monitors. Okay, well, I see folks dropping off and I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end things. We'll see you next week. Until then, have a fantastic day.